On the date of filming, it's Monday and it's currently about 5:30 in the evening. I've got my bike here, sat with me. I'm sat looking over the water. It's a nice hot day, got my shorts on. Ignore the shoes, they're bad for a reason because I do stuff like this with them. But I'm enjoying life, right? I think this is pretty nice, and yeah, we could be in a hotter place, a more visual place. And the oil does seem to have some weird, the water has some weird oil on it. But really, I'm happy with things. And I bring this up because I know it's a shame, but it's not an opportunity that most people get at this time of the day. They're travelling home from work, they're tired. Even if they got home at 4 PM, right? They've probably been up since what? 5 AM, 6 AM, 7 AM. They're not got the time or the energy to go out on a bike, go for a 20-mile ride, and relax. But, you know, they're tired, they want to go straight to sleep, just to do the next thing again tomorrow. And of course I'm not hating, I've got many friends who do that and I understand why they do that. And I understand that jobs are the most stable source of income anybody can make. I make no argument against that, right? And I say all these sorts of things very early into the video because I want to prove one thing, right? I understand both sides of the argument. And when I make videos like this, where I say what I personally like to do, you still get people in the comment section saying, okay, well that's not going to work for me because this and that. Right, that's fair enough, right? I don't know how I'm going to title this video, but it's going to be something along the lines of why I would rather make X working for myself than work a 9 to 5. So I'm not necessarily saying that other people will enjoy what I do and want to do the same. I'm just explaining my experience to give a bit more of insight on what I do. Anyway, so for a bit of context, I run a few businesses. Actually, quite a few. At the minute, I've got 3 that I would say are stable and decent incomes. The one that makes up between, and it depends on the month, because the others can shine too, between 60 and maybe 80% of my entire income is my reselling business. I have a few different segments of this, but the largest one is selling stuff on eBay, mainly drop-shipped items, right? So that's where I make a lot of my money, along my other reselling businesses too. Then, as I say, I've got things like, believe it or not, this YouTube channel that can be quite profitable, and I also have my Patreon page. So that's my 3 main streams of income, and I'm always trying to grow more. But I make a livable amount of money, okay? My living costs are quite low, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I think it's a good thing. I'm 20 years old, I'm not going to sacrifice my free time out in the countryside, enjoying my life the way I want, to be driving around in a car that other people are going to like more, that doesn't actually serve me any purpose, right? I've got the stuff that I've got, and I'm fairly happy with life at this stage. So what I'm saying is, for me, the money that I make is livable, okay? And this is context for the argument, because for a lot of people it's going to be like, okay, well your business, it probably doesn't make enough money. Well, mine does, for now. Maybe it's going to grow, maybe it's going to fail. But yeah, I can make enough money to live with this business. So, when it comes to running businesses, there are a lot of challenges, as I say. There's things like the fact that I do not know at any given time or month how much money I will make in that month. I might make significantly more than expected, significantly less. People might call this a liability, and it can be if you're irresponsible. If you think about it wisely enough, all you do is you put some money into savings as and where you can, and if your income doesn't meet expenses, you just dip into that savings and top it up when it does. So it's not necessarily problematic, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of challenges. Also, a big one that I don't think enough people speak about is the self-regulation. As in, I am currently outside now, obviously. It is currently about 5-6 PM. Yes, it is. And I am free, right? I haven't done much today in terms of work. I've done a bit, but not too much. However, then there's the point of when I get home, I don't know what time it's going to be, but I've got to get on with stuff. It has not been intensive at all, but I'm going to tell you about the workload that I've done this morning so far. So today I have made 2 short form videos, I've made and published 1 long form video, and I think I've done 4 listings on my US eBay store, and that is it. The rest of the day I've been cleaning the bike, riding the bike, fixing the bike. It's been a big day on the bike. So it's been easy, right? But then I have to go and do work at home. In contrast to a job where, hey, the boss tells you what to do, you just show up and do it. It's a lot more autonomous in the sense that you have to manage your own business, whereas a job, you just basically follow orders, and that can be challenging for people who may lack the, I guess, self-discipline. On a bad day, my businesses might take, I don't know, between 4 and 6 hours to run, which sounds like a quite small portion of the day, and it's not really too bad, it's very manageable. And then at that point, people always ask me, if it's that simple, if it's that quick, and if it's quite easy because it's online, remember, why don't you think about building an extra income through a job, right? And to this I would say, I am looking to get a part-time job, but it's not really going to be big hours for a lot of money. I just want something to keep me busy when university ends. And I also want to say on that point, I do understand why jobs work, and I also want to add to that, when I make a video like this, I'm not saying, oh, my businesses are going to succeed 100% and that's me set forever. Look, I've always got a backup plan, right? People might watch these videos and watch 5 minutes of one episode and think I'm some kind of an idiot. That's fine, but for a bit of context, I also have, or I'm working on, this is hopefully going to be my last year, if everything gets passed. Maybe I'll have to resit, but hopefully this is my last year of doing my degree. So I'm going to have a business management degree also. So this idea of, oh, you know, you've got no future, not necessarily true. But you've obviously clicked on this video, you've obviously seen the title, and you might be thinking, well, why have I worded it the way I have? What makes it so that I would rather maybe take a pay cut in real terms and actually have a lot more liabilities and a lot more responsibilities over getting something more normal? And I think there is actually a reasonable answer to that, and I think it goes back to something I speak about in a lot of my episodes. I want to start off with the first point on this topic, and the point that I want to make is, as I've said before, the same efforts are not going to give you different results. And I mean this in relation to work, right? So I've said it before, but for a bit of context, when I was growing up, nobody around me was particularly rich and wealthy, right? Everyone that I knew that was an adult basically worked, and a lot of them worked in quite difficult jobs. We're talking, I don't know, manual labour, construction, care, stuff like that, the jobs that are kind of most crucial to society. But I'd see all of these people coming home after long shifts with not very much money. We're not talking about not money to go on luxury holidays, we're talking about not money to buy the essentials. When you see that, you start to understand that hard work doesn't always pay off. And I think that probably influenced my opinions towards a few of these things in the early years. I understood that, yeah, the idea of if you go to school and work hard and do your best, it doesn't mean that you're going to get something really good. Guaranteed, it's not guaranteed. And yeah, there's a high likelihood that if I'd have picked a different path, I could have gone down the route of maybe being a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And that would have probably been a good income, you know, very middle class income, pretty decent. But that's probably the peak of that. And you could say, well, with that money, you could have invested in properties and that. But if you start to invest in properties, you're already running a business. So we're going down the route of what I'm saying anyway. I think most people can acknowledge, especially nowadays, a job's only going to get you so far. And that's one of the things that's always attracted me to business. Yes, it comes with a lot more responsibility, but it comes with 100% more scalability. There's no peak, there's no top, there's always room for expansion, and that's one of the biggest strengths about business that I can imagine. You've got the ability to always keep this growing. It depends on what you want to achieve, and it depends on your personal aims, goals, and it's something that's very much determined by your drive. And I guess that's another thing that's always attracted me to it, right? People talk about making, I don't know, oh, I make 30 grand or I make 50 grand or 70 or whatever. That's a lot of money and that's really good going. But to make 30k from a job and to make 30k from business is not the same ball game at all. How do you make 30k from even a very low paying job? I'll tell you how you do it. You work, you come in, you show up, and you work long hours, right? And then you can make 10k, 20k, 30k. Now I'm going to ask the average person, how do you go about making 30k online? You know, going down that path is almost incomprehensible to most people. It's substantially more difficult. And And I say that because it speaks to the drive and the pride that can come with business. You have got much more difficult startup, I guess, costs. And I don't necessarily mean financial, I mean the cost of human capital, the cost on your motivation. All of these things need to be factored in. So there's much more difficult things that come with running your own business. But in terms of results, they're unlimited, and that's something that's always attracted me. Now, like I say, the money that I make is a livable amount, right? I could maybe work harder for more money to afford nicer things and all of the usual traps that keep people broke. But if we're talking about actual life fulfillment, hey, I don't know if it gets much better. I'm sure there's some things that I could do to improve on, but I'm okay, right? I'm relatively happy with things at the minute. So I've got nothing to complain about. And on that topic, right, we need to get onto freedom. We need to get onto abilities and wants in life. A job, once you're in it, it can provide payment increases, but it's very unlikely that a job's going to give you the opportunity to earn more and work less. Sometimes you'll see it, but it's not that common. Maybe it's just my personal view, and maybe in a couple of years I'll think differently. But you know, you get to a point, or at least I am at that point now, where you pay your bills and they're all paid. You've got a car and you've paid your car. You can afford food. You can afford to do your hobbies. You can hang out with friends and afford all the bills and whatever. What more do you need to buy? At that point, you're probably just working for the status, because there's not much more happiness that can probably come in life past a certain point. And I'm sure it depends on everyone's different goals, so I know somebody's going to say otherwise in the comments, but you get what I mean. So I guess part of it's from fulfillment, in the sense that, hey, if you can make all this money online, why would you not? Like I say, if I can work maybe 2 to 4 hours and make enough to live on, that's not something that most people have had the chance to do in the past. Like I say, I've known people who work 6, 8, 10, 12 hours who still barely make enough to cover their living expenses. And like I say, when all money's gone, when all's said and done, what have we got left? We've got the people who we spend our time with, we've got our hobbies, we've got our life experiences. And again, when everything's starting to get to the point where it's all completely paid off, there's nothing else to worry about and all that sort of stuff, and all the costs are basically disappeared for things, you're getting new opportunities, right? So like I say, the income's already starting to build, so that's good. But hey, even if it stays at this current level, I'm not stuck in an office every day. I can work nights, and when I say nights, I don't mean like, oh, I've got to do a 12 at midnight to a, I don't know, 8 a.m. shift. No, I can go start working at 10, have a break at 11, get back on it at 12, finish at 1, 2, and then go to sleep in the pattern that I want to, in the pattern that makes me feel most productive and constructive. There's no pressure for me to work a certain pattern. So I get to live life much more on my own terms. Again, I understand if your business doesn't make the money that you need, why it's much more of an attractive offer. But maybe if you were to double my income right now, and it was just for money, right? You double my income, or maybe triple it. At the point of triple, I'm maybe getting to the point where I'm thinking, hey, I would probably rather take the job. But double, okay, so I've now got to go from working, I don't know, let's say I work 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that means that I work a maximum of really 14 hours. But let's say I work 20 hours. I've now got to double my workload, right? I can't do it in my own terms. I can't do it where I want. That's a big challenge for a bit of extra money, especially when you don't need the actual money. Another big thing that I want to talk about is the compound benefits of running a business, okay? So like I say, a job, yeah, you're going to get promotions and stuff like that, but especially these days, that's not guaranteed, right? It's not guaranteed, so there's that argument to be made as well. But yeah, you're going to get promotions, let's say, for argument's sake. But how much is that benefiting you? Last month, I saw my income rise by 50%. And I'll tell you why that is. It's because I saw my productivity double. I did double the work, and I made, a lot more money basically. Not double, but not a bad amount. So let's say at that point I was working maybe 3 hours a day. Still not hard, eh? And as this business grows, if I want to pick up extra hours and maybe try new avenues, and maybe I'm going to be doing 4 hours, maybe I'll do the full 8 hours a day. The pay does not stop. Even in a good job that pays on an hourly rate, you're going to get really tired at some point. And that's probably going to lead to you having burnout. And also, let's not talk about the unpaid hours, right? Travelling to work, 1 hour. Travelling back from work, 1 hour. The time it takes you to get settled in both at work and at home. Maybe unpaid lunch breaks, I've seen that as well. You're not just working 4 hours or 8 hours, all these extra hours too. And again, even if your productivity doubles, let's say you're working for some warehouse company and you shift twice as many boxes, you're probably creating that company a lot more money. Do they allow you to keep 100% of that extra profit? No, they don't. Minus taxes and expenses, I get to keep 100% of the rewards of my productivity. Right? I think that's a massive benefit. And also, like I say, there's a compound benefits, one of which I think is what people call passive income. Now, I'm a bit reluctant to use that term because in my businesses at least, no income is completely passive. Let's talk about getting orders. You know, you still have to fulfill the orders at the end of the day. We'll talk about making YouTube videos. Yes, once the work's done. Okay, that probably is passive income because once the work's done, they are basically done forever. But what I'm saying is, okay, I might do 8 hours, let's say, for argument's sake, running my own business one day. And then that video might do super well, extra profit, might make double the sales, extra profit. It comes directly back to me. And again, as this business scales, let's say right now, again, just argument's sake, let's say I was making 1,000 a month. If I doubled this business, my pay doubles. If I double it again, I'm making 4,000 a month. If I double it again, I'm making 8,000. You get to a point where a job will not reward you in that way, and that's the benefits of working for yourself. As I say, especially in a market today where progression is not there, promotions for a lot of places are also not there, pay and conditions are not too great, there's only so far you can go on the corporate ladder. And if that is the sort of premise for what we're working with, we then find ourselves in the sort of market where it's like, okay, so what benefits is going to come from going down this path? Well, yeah, you have the stability that comes with it, you have the insurance that you're going to get paid, and you also have the fact that you are going to be doing something that I guess gives you a routine. So for people who struggle to get into routines or struggle with self-management, there's a lot of benefits that do come from a 9 to 5. But like I said in a few of my videos, right, people today complain so very much. Jobs don't pay very well. You don't know how it feels to work long hours. And I'm just saying, like, no, I don't know how it feels to work long hours. Like I say, I might find myself in a place in 10 years where all of my businesses fail and I might have, I don't know, a wife and some kids and a lot of stuff to support, and then I've got to work 60 hours myself. But for most young people, you have nothing to lose. If you actually think about it, there's very few financial dependencies that you have, so you don't really have much to lose. You're in the sort of place where you can't really put a foot wrong. You've got much more of an ability to experiment with things, and you might as well give it a go. So for me, at this stage of my business, if you were to offer me a job that paid double, and it came with all the stabilities of a job, I'd question that. But I'd also think about, hey, if I have to give up all of my businesses as well, what is the end of my life going to look like, right? Because the thing about my businesses, and this is why I'd rather run them than have a job and only be able to make money from a job or something like that, I can do video making like this. I can do it by the canal, I can do it on a beach in Thailand, I can do it in the desert, as long as there's an internet connection, right? I can make videos, I can sell stuff, as long as I've got an internet connection and a device. And especially for someone, me, who wants to travel around a lot more, yeah, I might make more money, but I can make up the difference by either staying or living in a cheaper country. And like I say, life for me, and I think a lot of people my generation are starting to realise this, I don't think for most people it's going to be about sitting in an office or a warehouse anymore, right? And yeah, I understand that these are crucial parts of society, and no, I don't think it's that I'm lazy, but especially when you're both not getting paid for it and you see the opportunity for other better avenues, I think at that point it's basically just dumb to sit there and not at least give them a go. So, you know, I could be stuck in an office right now, I could be stuck in a warehouse, anywhere, and if I was working more than 40, 50 hours, but making double the money, what's the real cost, you know? I might be making more cash, might get me a nicer car, but in terms of actual life value, I've got time right now to spend with my friends, my family, the people around me, parents, grandparents, who one day are going to be dead, right? One day I'm going to be dead. And I say this as a point, right? I'm 20 years old. I can remember when I was 10. I think I can even remember when I was 7 or 5 or stuff like that, because I have memories of that time. And I've noticed one thing is, as you get older, the years seem to go faster. And that makes sense, right? Because as a 10-year-old, 1 year is about 10% of your life. As a 100-year-old, it's only 1% of your life. So the years are going to go faster. I have no doubts in my head that it's only going to be a matter of time till I'm 40 years old. Maybe even 50 or 60 past that, you know. And am I going to be thinking about, hey, I was glad that I was able to work in that office and stack them shelves, but yeah, I was able to put a bit of extra money in my name? Or would I be much more proud to say, hey, you know, my friends, my children, my wife, whatever, let me tell you about this funny story of when this happened, or how I used to spend this time doing that. And also, if at the same time I can build a stronger income with potentially generational wealth, or at least an ability for change, right? I'm going to take that opportunity every time. So would I really rather make half the money for myself and make it for myself? Well, you get to a point where you're always going to have some haters, and I know some people in the comment section are going to say, well, you're completely wrong for that. I would, right? It depends on what the amount is. If I didn't have enough money to live on, I've obviously got to take the job. But once you get to a certain point of comfortableness, I'm taking my freedom, I'm taking my free time, I'm taking my life experiences that I can get, I'm taking my happiness, right? I'm also taking the ability to scale to a larger point, I'm taking the ability to have more freedom, I'm taking the ability to take more risks and hopefully achieve something more grand with my life, because, I don't know, I've got grandparents, right? I've been lucky enough to actually meet one of my great-grandparents before he died, my great-granddad. And the point is this: when you're sat around with your nan or your granddad or whatever, no one cares about what job he did. How many times do you think I've sat around with my nan talking about how it was to work in the shoe shop in 1979? I don't care. I don't even know what jobs she did. I have no clue. You know what we talk about? When we talk about her life, and she's trying to pass on stories, we talk about her family members, her experiences over the years, not some boring stuff. Because when it's all gone, who cares about that? No one does. And I think it's a new mindset that is being instilled in a lot of people, more our generation, as in the younger people and whatever. Now that we've got the opportunities to make easier money and retain a lot more of our freedom, we're probably at a point where we're like, okay, we don't need to waste all of our time doing these meaningless, mindless tasks that overall do not benefit us to the point that we like. And a lot of people are therefore giving up on them, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that's good, because it's not good unless you've got a solution. But for me, I kind of do, right? I make the money already online, and it's building, it's growing. And that's what I want to do going forwards. I aim to see that continue to grow. Whether it will or not, I don't know. Whenever I make videos on these topics, I always say, I might look back and I might say, yeah, I was completely wrong when I said this. But what I'm going to say is, right, I've got access to the internet. I've got savings, which mean that I'm okay for about the next year or so. Maybe 2 if I live extremely frugally. But what this means is, unless I'm trying to buy status symbols to impress others, my core needs are taken care of. So what comes next? Well, if you're after those status symbols, that's fine, right? I want a sports car, I want a nice apartment in a skyscraper. I do. But I'm not going to sell my entire life away for it. And also, you get to a point in today's market where you're getting diminishing results anyway. So I'd rather keep my freedom, take my chances, and see where things go. I don't know if I put this in a very concise manner or not. As a lot of these videos do appear to be becoming, it's quite long, but I kind of want to explain my points a bit more collectively. Now, I usually watch these back and think that they make a lot more sense, but when I'm filming them, they don't. So just to recap, right, today we're in a market where jobs don't pay very well. We're in a market where a lot of jobs are getting replaced by AI, and a lot of challenges come for your working people. People are working super long hours, all whilst we have things like the internet at our disposal. People, on the other hand, are making more money than ever before. And when it comes to money, you get to a certain point, I think, where once your needs are taken care of and your wants are kind of met, you don't really get much better from earning substantially more. At that point, what benefits come? And what do you really want? If you've got your core needs of food, shelter, love and all that sort of stuff taken care of, what comes next? I think it's acknowledging what makes you unhappy. And yeah, like I say, I actually want a job to keep me busy. But we're talking maybe 16 hours a week, 12 hours a week, 20 hours a week. And it's more for the time than the money. It would make me not very happy at all to have to come out of the house when the sun's coming up and leave when the sun's going down because I've been working all day. Like I say, I've seen people, whether it's people older than me, or especially as I begin to grow up into an adult, right, even right now at my age, people who work 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 12 hours, 24 hours, no, not 24 hours, but 12 hours, 14 hours I should have said, and yeah, they're pushing nice cars, very nice cars, probably that I couldn't buy. Whether it's on finance or bought outright, I don't know, I don't really care. Probably got nicer places than me. But you're in a nice car that you've not got the freedom to drive. You're in a nice place that you're never staying at apart from to sleep in. You know, I take my car on leisure drives all the time. I take my bike on rides, right? I don't care about what time I get back, as long as I get back safe. This is a freedom that comes with doing things in my way. People may like that, they may not. That's a different point. But nowadays, we're not the kids of the 1950s. We don't need all of us to work long hours. Like I say, we're at a point where people are making a lot of money on the internet. And that is not me saying that you're going to be the next multimillionaire or anything like that. But what it is me saying that there's an opportunity to carve a life, whether it's online or working for yourself. And if ever given the opportunity, I'm going to take the benefits that come with doing stuff my way and for me. It's not just because I want the easy route, because trust me, when it comes around to filing your own taxes or doing stuff like that, things are not that easy, right? Things are much more challenging in some ways, and especially when you're managing your finances, everything to do with that. Things are much more challenging sometimes. So it's not that I want an easy ride, but I want the work that I do to be meaningful for me and my family going forwards. And that sounds like something that I know people are going to pick up on in the comment section, saying, oh, that's a privileged, woke position. Look, how long have humans been evolving for, right? Once upon a time, we were a hunter-gatherer species. And then we worked in farms. Then we worked in factories. Then we worked in offices. There's probably going to be a time, and it's already starting to happen with things like remote work, where people are going to be doing a lot more independent work the way they like. Like I say, maybe I've been lucky, maybe I've been clever, I don't know, but all of my financial dependencies have been paid off. All the things that basically depend on me to be okay, they've been paid off, and life's pretty carefree, just keeping growing the business and seeing what happens. But I'd always rather take it that way, take the chance and see where we go, rather than immediately going towards a life of, okay, well, 9 to 5, giving up every single one of my days. Oh, now I'm 50, 60, 70, grey hair, old. I've got a sports car, but I can't hop in and out of it. I'm taking my chances of my freedom, right? I'm taking my chances. As long as I've got enough to live, and I want to keep that growing, right? So don't think that I'm saying, oh, I just want enough. I want to achieve excellence, basically. But at this point in my life, maybe I'm proven wrong in the future, but at this point in my life, a long-term career may actually hinder that. And that's why I'm always going to try first to do things my own way, and by myself. So I don't know, is business the way to go, or should we be focusing on maybe getting a good job, working in the office for 40, 50, 60 years, and am I completely wrong? I'm sure you lot will tell me in the comments either way. For the time being, I am making money, right? It's not just talk, I'm actually seeing the results. So there's that. But is this something that people are feeling? Do people agree? Do people disagree? I'm sure you're going to let me know in the comments, and there's always people who have unreasonable, rude, and quite frankly stupid points to make. But anyone who wants to leave a genuine, meaningful, insightful comment, I'm more than interested to listen to and appreciate different opinions, so why not drop me a comment? Anyway, yeah, so for me, it's just going to be about hopefully growing things in the future, and that's my plan. Thank you, and see you soon.